Hello everyone, if you're new here, my name is Mel and it is TBR time, which is one of my absolute favorite videos to film. We are going to be playing TBR Bluff this month, but we are not just going to be playing any TBR Bluff. Oh no, we're going to be playing TBR Bluff for Realmathon. Realmathon is an amazing competitive based readathon which is hosted by my dearest friend Cassidy from Covers with Cassidy. It is a readathon where you can gain points, you can take points away from other teams, and I will be honest with you, I go hard for Realmathon. We don't take this lightly. I'm a reigning champ. Team Ilma, aka Llama, won the game last year, so we have a title to defend, and I intend to do that. This year, I am a co-host of Team Shadows, which you know I love me a Shadow Daddy, so that just works absolutely perfectly for me. And I am going to be co-hosting with Lexi from Books with Lexi, which is even more perfect because I feel like we are both extremely competitive people, and we are going to be going hard all month long. So I have a giant stack of possibilities for the month of March. I don't intend to just do a little bit, we're gonna do a lot. This month I'm going to be getting points for black books, books with buildings on the cover, and school settings, so I'm gonna be trying to work those in as best I can. I only have one required read for this month, which is the Indie Archive pick. Really quickly, let me give you guys just a brief rundown of what TBR Bluff is. It is my TBR game where I roll the dice, try to find a corresponding prompt, and that is going to be picking what I'm reading for the month. Just a few basic rules are if I cannot find a space on the board, then I have to bust out the Wheel of Doom, which has 5 books on it that I want to read and 5 books on it that I don't want to read. I have to cover a prompt every time I get it, and once I get 5 in a row, I can clear the board. And also, if I can't find a corresponding prompt, then I have to add a roll. I think that's pretty much all of the rules, so I guess without further ado, let's just jump into the first roll. Okay, so this is what the board is looking like to start. So we have TBR Bluff, roll number 1. That got us 2 4s, a 3, a 2, and a 6. So 2 4s is a friend pick, and I feel like that works perfectly for this month. So I'm actually just going to stop there and we're going to use friend pick. Okay, TBR Bluff, roll number 1 started us off with a bang, and we got a friend pick. So I asked Lexi, who is my co-host of Team Shadows, to give us a recommendation, something that she thought that I should read this month. Lexi's been on a roll with recommendations recently, so she better not let me down.
Hi Mel, I am so excited to be co-hosting at Team Shadows with you this month. I am ready to win. The book that I picked for you is one that I'm a little nervous about. But it has a black cover, which is great for our team, and I know you've been interested in this one. So, Looking Glass Sound by Katrina Ward. This is a slower psychological book following a writer and everything he has gone through in his life. It's a little confusing, it's a little weird, very psychological. Fingers crossed you love it.
Okay, so I actually looked at this one and was gonna put it in my stack of possibilities and went, no, I'm a little scared of that one. I think that I'm gonna hold off. And then Lexi went, bet. So she chose for me Looking Glass Sound by Katrina Ward. I loved The Last House on Needless Street. It was a 5-star read for me. And then I read Sundial and it was generally okay. I bought Little Eve. People were like, it's all right. And then when this one came out, I was told I would either love it or probably hate it. And so I have just kind of let it been sitting on my shelves. I'm excited to try it, to finally see what this book is all about. But like, I've been putting it off because like, I'm scared. TBR Bluff, roll number 2. Okay, so that got us a 6, 2 4s, a 1, and a 5. We just used the 2 4s, but I'm going to keep those and roll again. That was still not helpful, so let's roll one more time. I didn't think this early we would have to be scared about not getting a prompt. And that's not good. So I guess we can use a free space. I really hate to use a free space this early in the game, so I'm not going to. We're going to use the TBR Wheel of Doom. I will have to put things on the wheel, but we're going to use the Wheel of Doom. And we have to add a roll. Okay, so TBR Bluff roll number 2 was not kind to us. That was our first of the year, I think, where I could not find a corresponding prompt. I could have cheated. I could have gone with free space and done author I've never read before, but it's just a little too early. I mean, we're only in the 3rd month. I didn't want to use the free space. So I have decided that I'm just going to take one for the team. I'm going to add a roll and I'm going to bust out the Wheel of Doom. and we're just gonna spin this sucker and see what we end up with. I will say that I put not all of my TBR books on here. I put off of all of my black books, 5 that I wanted to read and 5 that I didn't want to read, because even if we're getting punished, we're still getting points for Realmathon. Okay, so let's do the spin and see what I end up with. All right, so we've got 10 books, all of them with black covers, 5 that I want to read and 5 that I do not. Hey! Okay, so if I'm gonna have to do the Wheel of Doom, at least the Wheel of Doom landed on a book that I want to read, and that is Lady of Darkness by Melissa Rorick. This is a book that was put on my radar by Ashley from A Frolic Through Fiction. She freaking loves this book and has just shouted about it from the rooftops, and now I can't wait to read it. It's about 3 sisters who were owned and trained by an assassin lord to take life. She is presented with an opportunity that if she completes this assignment, then she can get revenge on the Fae Prince that killed her mother. But is she willing to sacrifice her ideals for retribution? It sounds so good. It's not short, but it is black, so it's definitely going to get us some extra points, and I have been absolutely dying to read this. So awesome second book. All right, TBR Bluff, rule number 3. That got us 2 1s and 3 2s, which is a full house. I think we've already used full house. So what is 2 1s and 2 2s? That is a sexy cover. That works perfectly because I have so much fan mail I want to read this month. The next TBR Bluff roll got us a sexy cover, which honestly was probably one of the easiest prompts for this month because I have so many books with sexy covers on them that I could pick. Honestly, it's really a little bit of a toss-up on what I want to use. But I think I may go with The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon. This will be a reread for me, but this is a beautiful copy from Broken Binding. It has gorgeous sprayed edges, and I literally just got it. This is the revised edition of The Bone Season. I have read The Bone Season before, but I wanted to see how the revised edition held up, how it was different, if I felt like it was any better, if I felt like this series was worth continuing, honestly, because while I gave Mask Falling 5 stars and loved it, I'm a little bit annoyed by how long it's taken her to continue on in the series because she's rewriting the other books. Like, I get it, but it's just a little frustrating when I want to continue on. And if it's going to be 4 and 5 years between books, do I want to continue on with the series? I think if this revised edition is absolutely incredible, then 100% I will want to continue on. But if I find it mediocre and I feel like the revised editions aren't going to be worth my time, then I may or may not continue. This cover is absolutely beautiful, and it has several buildings on the cover, so it's absolutely going to count for some extra Team Shadows points. All right, TBR Bluff, roll number 4. That got us 2 3s, 2 2s, and a 1. And 2 3s and 2 2s is a friend fave, which honestly just works perfectly. So the board was mean to us once, but we've actually gotten some pretty good prompts since then. Alright, so our next TBR Bluff roll got us a friend fave, and this is different than a friend pick. I ended up using both of these because, well, honestly, I just want a good month. But for this one, I just need to pick a favorite of a friend. I'm going to be using Cassidy because, of course, we have to use Cassidy. It's her readathon. It's the month of March. And one of the prompts for Realmathon that gets us kind of the maximum amount of points is a Cassidy favorite. So for this one, I'm going to be going with A Court This Cruel and Lovely by Stacia Stark. This is an Apolycon author. It is a black cover. It is a Cassidy favorite. This book is hitting all of the points. And I am absolutely beyond excited to read this. I know that it is a very tropey fantasy romance that she just said was a lot of fun. I have a special edition of this that I've pre-ordered for Apolycon, so I really hope I like it, but I think that I will. This is a world where when you're born, the gods take what little power you have left, and if you still have power when you reach a certain age, then I believe you're considered an abomination and they kill you. I don't really know a whole lot else about this, but I, like I said, am beyond excited to pick this up. TBR Bluff, roll number 5. Which is not our last roll. 2 6s, 2 3s, and a 1. 2 6s and 2 3s is a book club or read-along pick. Oh my gosh, the board said, sorry about that one time. We'll get you some good ones. For our next TBR Bluff roll, we got a book club or read-along, which is absolutely perfect because I told you guys that I had, oh, I lied. I have 2 book club books. Let me grab the other one. I told you guys that I had a book club book that I needed to add to the TBR. So the one that I'm going to be picking for the mandatory TBR is the one that will get me some extra points for Realmathon, and that is Bloodstones by Tori Tekken. This is an indie fantasy that I have really been eyeing. I read Tori's short story for the Advent of Winter and really enjoyed it. This cover just screams, "Who are you?" to me, and I can't wait to figure that out. Very excited. This is the Indie Archive pick, which is a book club that Cassidy and I run over on our Patreons. We read a book every other month that is indie fantasy. If we all love it and we want to, we have a live show about it, and I'm really excited for March's pick. I chose it, so I really hope that it goes well for all of us, but this is going to get Shadows a few extra points because, as you can see, there is a building down there. It is very small, but Cassidy's the one that found it, so I feel like it still counts. And hopefully our last roll, TBR Bluff, roll number 6. That got us 3 5s, a 6, and a 4. 3 5s is first person, which I could easily do, but I feel like the board has been way too nice to us so far, so I'm just going to keep the 3 5s and try rolling again. So that did not help us out anymore. I'm going to actually throw one of those 5s out just to make it interesting and roll one more time. Okay, so that time we got 2 5s and 2 6s, which is a color generator. That's fun. Okay, so there is the board at the end. This is starting to look scary, but at least everything's kind of on this side and we are slowly getting more filled up. Okay, and then for our 6th and added roll, we got a color generator, and color generators are so much fun. I love color generators. It just gives a little bit of spice to the TBR, you know? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up a random color generator, and we're just going to get as close as we can to the color that it comes up with on the front cover. Okay, so let's just hit generate random color and see what we get. Ooh, signal yellow. Okay, that's going to take me a second. Hang on. Okay, so I found a couple of options that I feel like could maybe work. The most obvious one that I see on my shelves would be recursion, but I've already read recursion, so I can't do that. So I just found as many like books that had a bright prominent yellow on the cover. I, again, did not have any just like yellow books, but I did find as many as I could that had yellow on the cover somewhere. So I'm going to be putting these up, I think, as a poll for my Patreon. So once they have decided, I will leave whichever book they've chose right here. But the first one is Court of Blood and Bindings by Lizette Marshall. This is a fae fantasy romance. I feel like the Court of Blood and Bindings like title is pretty yellow and relatively close to the signal yellow. So this is option number 1. Then we have one that Rachel just gifted to me, which is A Crown of Ash and Silver. I held up my phone next to the moon and it definitely was pretty close. I think that this is an arranged marriage, enemies to lovers, slow burn fantasy romance. And then I feel like in the middle of the spine here on House of Bane and Blood is pretty yellow. So I also think that this one could go for it. This is an arranged marriage, I believe, which, what the heck, that's not my trope. But this is an arranged marriage fantasy romance about slumlords, and I think has a little bit of like a mafia style. It says a city split into opposing sides, power comes in many forms, bloodlines, money, love, and most importantly, secrets. I've heard this one is pretty dark, and I'm going to be getting a special edition, I think, of this pretty soon, so I wanted to give it a try. Okay, so these books, plus whatever is chosen for me by the patrons, is my official TBR. And it's a scary looking TBR. It's a pretty chunky boy there, but I'm excited about all of the books on there, so I think it's going to be a really good month. And every single book that's on my TBR so far is going to get me extra points for Realmathon. Really quickly though, I do want to show you a couple of extra books that are going to be on my TBR for this month because we're not stopping there. Okay, so we have some additional black books that are possible. I'm not really going to go through the synopses of these, but I will show you which ones are kind of on my radar really quickly. The first is Furyborn by Claire Legrand. We have The Wolf by Leo Carew. Grace of Kings by Ken Liu. I don't know if I'm going to get to this one, but you know, it's there. The Queen of Days by Greta Kelly. Flames of Mira by Clay Harmon. One that I really possibly could get to because it's been on every TBR and I do need to read it for my patrons is Sons of Darkness by Guhav Mahatni. And then we have The Ballad of Never After by Stephanie Garber, which is the second book to Once Upon a Broken Heart. Oh, a black one that I forgot to mention, I don't know how because I think it's going to be my first book of the readathon, is Blood and Steel. This one absolutely going to be picking up without a doubt. Then I also wanted to pick some books that had buildings on the cover. So the first one is my Patreon buddy read for this month, and that is going to be When the Moon Hatched. I have heard nothing but good things about this, and if you zoom in really closely to that bottom corner, you will see that it does have a building on the cover. This is a fantasy romance with the one dragon trope. I have Of Magic and Men. I don't know a whole lot about this one, but it does have a building on the cover, so if I need an extra book, then I may pull this one up. I do believe it is a fantasy romance. We also have for buildings on the cover Malice House by Megan Shepherd. This is a haunted house / little bit fantasy book that I've heard good things about. We have Fathom Folk by Eliza Chan. There's definitely a building down here. This is a brand new release about mer people, I believe. We have a Darcy Coates, The House Next Door. It has a house in the background and it's literally in the title. We have Hemlock Island by Kelly Armstrong. This is a horror, but this is a urban fantasy author that I've read from before, so I wanted to potentially give this one a try. You can see there is a building up here. And then one that was recently gifted to me by Holly is The Quiet Tenant by Clemence McCallan. This one, obviously, building right there in the middle. And then another one that I do have an arc of that I might get to is Silver Blood Promise. This one doesn't come out until May, but it is a new fantasy that I've been hearing really, really good things about. And then we have some school setting books that we obviously need to get to. The first that I could potentially get to is Poison Study Book 2 by Maria V. Snyder. Monica, who is a lover of Poison Study, said that Book 2 does have a magical school, so I think that that one would count pretty well. Then we have potentially Spindle of Life, which is a Rumpelstiltskin, I believe, fantasy romance retelling that I've seen people mention several times does have a school setting. We have Shards of Glass by Michelle Segarra. This is one that I just randomly found at the bookstore, picked it up, and was like, oh, that has a school setting, perfect, and grabbed it. So I do definitely want to get to this one. We have Gothicana, which is a maybe possibility, but this gets me so many freaking bonus points. I don't know how I couldn't use it. There is a building on the cover, it is a black cover, it is a school setting, but this is a dark romance, which is a little bit out of my comfort zone. However, I just don't see how I can't try this because all of the points. We also have In My Dreams I Hold a Knife, which is an older thriller by Ashley Winstead that I know everyone absolutely loves. I don't know how I haven't picked this one up yet, but somehow I haven't. This one would give me several bonus points because it is a black cover as well as a school setting. And last but not least, we have Education in Malice by S.T. Gibson, which I do think is going to be higher up on my TBR for the month because this, again, black cover, school setting, and I really enjoyed A Dowry of Blood and have heard good things about this one, so I definitely want to try to make it a priority. And the last one that I wanted to mention, which is a maybe because I really have not heard the best of things, but it sounds good, is The City of Stardust by Georgia Summers. This one again would get me so many bonus points because it has buildings on the cover up here. It has a prominently black cover, and I've seen in several of the reviews of this that it is about like scholars and school setting. So even though it's not in the synopsis, I have read several reviews that do mention that, so I'm going on good faith that I believe that this is a school setting. So it would also hit so many freaking bonus points, but I'm a little bit scared of this one. Okay, and then the very, very, very last book that I need to quickly mention to you guys, because I'm not sure if I'm going to get to it in February or not, but if I don't, I do need to read it in March, is The Girl in the Mountain by Mark Lawrence. This is book 2 of the Book of the Ice series, which is the current backlist book club picks. This was actually January and February's book, but the live show is going to be around the latter half of March. It is the book club hosted by Covers with Cassidy. I do know that this is an absolute favorite of hers, so if I read it in the month of March, I will get bonus points for this, but it does not get me Shadows points in any way because there is a mountain but no building, and it's obviously blue and white, so, and it's not set in a school, so no bonus points for Shadows, but it is a Cassidy favorite. Okay guys, so can I hold up my stack, which is missing a book because I also have to do Where the Moon Hatched, which is not short. This is my TBR, if I can hold it up, for the month of March. Holy crap, what am I thinking? What am I thinking? Oh my gosh. Okay, well, we're ambitious. We love an ambitious girl. Let me know down in the comments if you guys are going to be participating in Realmathon. If you are, you better be on Team Shadows because that is the team that's going to win. And if you want to be on the winning team, Team Shadows, man. But March is gonna be a month. March is gonna be a time to be alive. I am so excited for it. If you're not participating in Realmathon or you haven't picked a team yet and you just want to let me know that you were here, leave me a swords emoji because we are going to battle. As always, links to my Patreon, Instagram, Twitter, and Goodreads are down in the description box below. Please give this video a big thumbs up if you liked it and subscribe if you want to, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!